Dr. Kim Chun-ho stared at the strange message on his computer screen. He read it 3 times to make sure he understood it correctly. An alien species wants to study human reflexes, he said to himself. And they picked me. Chun-ho was the best neurophysiologist in South Korea. He spent his life studying how the human body reacted to things without thinking. His small lab at Seoul National University had made big discoveries about how fast humans could move when in danger. The message came from the United Nations Space Agency. 6 months ago, the Tannel had arrived in large ships that orbited Earth. They were the first aliens humans had ever met. They looked a bit like tall, thin humans with gray-blue skin and 4 long fingers on each hand. Their eyes were large and dark. The phone on Chun-ho's desk rang. He picked it up. Dr. Kim, this is Director Park from the Space Agency. Did you get our message? Yes, I got it. But I don't understand why the Tannel want me. They asked for the best human expert on reflexes. That's you, Director Park said. They're offering to share medical technology with us. Technology that is hundreds of years ahead of ours. This could help millions of people. Chun-ho ran his hand through his short black hair. When would I have to leave? 3 days. They have a research station in orbit. You would stay there for 6 weeks. Chun-ho thought about his quiet life. His small apartment. His lab. He had no wife. No children. His parents had died years ago. His work was everything to him. I'll do it, he said. 3 days later, Chun-ho sat strapped into a seat on a shuttle headed to orbit. His stomach felt tight. He had never even flown on a plane before. Now he was going to space to meet aliens. Sitting across from him were 3 other humans. A woman in her 30s with short hair and strong arms sat with perfect posture. Next to her was a tall, athletic man who could not stop looking out the window at Earth below. The third was a woman with glasses who was typing rapidly on a tablet. I'm Park Mina, the short-haired woman said, former military combat instructor. They'd want to study how soldiers react in battle. Lee Tahoe, the tall man said with a friendly smile. I train Olympic athletes. I guess they want to know how humans can jump and run so well. Kang Ju-woo, the woman with glasses said without looking up. I study how the brain makes fast decisions. Kim Chun-ho, he said. I study reflexes, how the body reacts before the brain even knows what's happening. The shuttle docked with a large station. When the door opened, they were greeted by a Tannel. It was taller than any human, nearly 7 feet. Its movements were smooth but very slow, as if it was thinking about each motion before making it. Welcome, it said in perfect Korean. I am Ambassador Rek. Thank you for agreeing to help us understand your species better. Rek led them through halls of shining metal. Other Tannel, they passed moved with the same careful slowness. None of them made sudden movements. Our species believes in learning about others before forming full diplomatic ties, Rek explained. We must understand how you think and move to avoid misunderstandings. They reached a large laboratory filled with strange equipment. Chun-ho had never seen anything like it. Before we begin, Rek said, I must warn you. Some of what you see may surprise you. Some of what we ask may seem strange. But I promise, it is all to help our species become friends. Rek's large dark eyes blinked slowly. We are particularly interested in how quickly humans can react to unexpected events. This is very important to us. Chun-ho felt a chill run down his spine. Why were aliens so interested in human reflexes? What did they know that humans didn't? He was about to find out. The 4 humans were given small rooms next to each other on the space station. Each room had a bed, a desk, and a window that looked out at the stars and Earth below. The rooms were clean but simple. After a short rest, they met in a large round room. 5 Tannel waited for them there. The aliens stood in a line, each one holding a tablet-like device. These are our top scientists, Ambassador Rek said. They have studied many species across the stars. Now they wish to study humans. One Tannel stepped forward. It moved with the same careful slowness that all Tannel seemed to have. "I am lead researcher Mole," it said. "We will begin with simple tests." The first test was easy. The humans sat at tables with screens in front of them. When a light flashed on the screen, they had to press a button as fast as they could. Shunho noticed something odd. The Tannel watching them seemed surprised at how quickly the humans pressed the buttons. They talked to each other in their own language, making clicking sounds with their tongues. Next came a test where balls dropped from the ceiling without warning. The humans had to catch them before they hit the floor. Mina caught every ball with ease. Taeho not only caught them but did so with style, spinning, and jumping. Even Ju, who spent most of her time with books and computers, caught most of them. After each test, the Tannel wrote notes and talked among themselves. They seemed more and more interested in the results. "Is something wrong?" Junho asked Rek. "No," Rek said. "Your results are unexpected. That is all." On the third day, the tests got harder. The humans were placed in a room with moving floors. Without warning, the floor under Junho dropped. Before he could fall, his body reacted. His hand shot out and grabbed a rail. He pulled himself to safety. The same happened to the others. Each time, they saved themselves without thinking. That night, Junho couldn't sleep. He got up and walked to the small kitchen area they shared. Ju was there, drinking something that looked like tea. "You feel it too?" she asked. "Feel what?" Shunho said. "That they're not telling us everything. That these aren't just friendly science tests." Shunho nodded. "They seem surprised by how fast we move, how quickly we react to danger." "Have you noticed how slow they are?" Ju asked. "Even when they walk, it's like they're thinking about each step. I've never seen one of them move quickly." The next morning, the tests changed again. Now the humans were put in pairs. Shunho worked with Mina. They stood on opposite sides of a room. Between them were moving objects, like a maze that kept changing. "You must get to each other," Mal said, "but you cannot touch the moving parts." The test began. The objects moved faster than before. Shunho watched carefully, looking for a path. But Mina didn't wait. She moved through the maze, ducking, jumping, and sliding past the moving parts. Her body seemed to know what to do before her brain could think about it. Shunho followed her path. He wasn't as good as Mina, but he made it through. When they finished, the Tannel were silent. Then one of them dropped its tablet. The tablet fell toward the floor. None of the Tannel moved to catch it. Mina's hand shot out and caught the tablet just before it hit the ground. She handed it back to the Tannel with a smile. The Tannel didn't smile back. Instead, it stared at her with its large dark eyes. For the first time, Shunho thought he saw an emotion in those alien eyes. It looked like fear. "That's enough for today," Rek said suddenly. "Please return to your rooms. We must discuss these results." As they left, Taeho whispered, "Did you see that?" They were scared of how fast Mina moved. Shunho nodded. "The question is, why?" 1 week passed on the space station. Each day, the tests became more complex. The Tannel now watched the humans from behind thick glass windows. They no longer stood close during the tests. "They're keeping their distance from us," Mina said during breakfast. "Like we might hurt them." "But we haven't done anything wrong," Taeho said, confused. "I think it's not what we've done," Junho said. "It's what we might do. What we can do." That day's test was different. The humans entered a large room made to look like a laboratory. There were tables with glass containers, computers, and strange machines. "Please work together to organize this lab," Mole instructed through a speaker. "We will observe." The 4 humans began working. Shunho noticed small cameras in every corner of the room. Whatever this test was, the Tannel were watching very carefully. Ju was carrying a stack of glass containers when one of the machines suddenly sparked. A small fire started. At the same time, a loud alarm sounded. Without thinking, Minna grabbed a fire extinguisher and put out the fire in seconds. Taeho pulled Ju away from the danger. Shunho quickly checked if anyone was hurt. The whole thing took less than 10 seconds. When they looked up, they saw 6 Tanel watching them through the glass. The aliens were completely still, their large eyes wide. "Test complete," Mole's voice said. "Please exit." Later, Shunho found a small device hidden in his room. It was recording everything he did. He showed it to the others. They found similar devices in their rooms. "They're studying us even when we sleep," Ju said. "This isn't just scientific curiosity anymore." That night, Shunho couldn't sleep again. He decided to do some studying of his own. He took a small camera from his medical kit and set it up in the hallway outside the Tanel meeting room. The next morning, he checked the camera. The Tanel had met late at night. Shunho downloaded the video and showed it to the others. In the video, 6 Tanel sat around a table. They spoke in their clicking language, but their translator devices were on. Shunho turned up the volume so everyone could hear. "The humans react without thinking," one Tanel said. "They move before their brains can process danger." "It's not natural," another replied. "No species should move that fast. They don't calculate risks. They just act." "The female Minna moved faster than our instruments could measure," Mol said. "She caught the falling device before making a conscious decision to move. We've never seen anything like it." "Are they dangerous?" a fourth Tanel asked. There was a long silence. "Any species that can move without thinking is potentially dangerous," Rek finally said. "But they haven't shown aggression, only protection. When the fire started, they moved to protect each other, not attack us." "We need more data," Mol decided. "Tomorrow, we increase the stress levels. We need to see how they react under real pressure." The video ended. The 4 humans looked at each other. "They're afraid of us," Taeho said, "because we can move fast." "But why?" Minna asked. "They've traveled across stars. They must have met other species before. Maybe none like us," Junho said. "Think about it. Have you ever seen a Tanel move quickly? Even when that tablet was falling, none of them tried to catch it. They think before they act," Ju said. "Every single time. But humans, we don't always think first. Sometimes our bodies just react. And that scares them," Juno finished. "So what do we do now?" Tahoe asked. "We prepare," Minna said, her face serious. "Whatever test they have planned for tomorrow, it's going to be dangerous. They want to see what we do under stress. And we need to find out why they're really studying us," Junho added. "Before these tests go too far, we need to learn more about the Tanel," Ju said at breakfast. "If they're studying us, we should study them too." The humans made a plan. Tahoe would keep the Tanel scientists busy with questions about their technology. Minna would watch the exits. Shunho would stand guard. And Ju would sneak into their main computer room. Ju was the best with computers. She could hack into systems quickly. Though the Tanel technology was advanced, she had been watching how they used their systems all week. After their morning test, jumping across moving platforms, they put their plan into action. Tahoe began asking Mole many questions about the station. Minna stood by the door, looking casual but ready. Shunho pretended to examine a medical device near the hallway. Ju slipped away quietly. She walked down the empty hall to the room they had seen Tanel enter, but never leave. The door had a hand scanner. Using a trick she had seen in an old movie, she pressed a piece of clear tape over the scanner where a Tanel had touched it earlier. The door opened. Inside was a large room with screens covering the walls. No one was there. Ju moved quickly to the main control panel. She plugged in a small device she had made from parts in her room. It began copying files. On the screens, she saw images of different alien species. Each had notes beside it in the Tanel language. Her device translated some of the text. Species classification, threat assessment, diplomatic protocols. One file caught her eye. It was labeled Species Integration History. She opened it. The file showed how the Tannel had met other species over hundreds of years. Each new species went through the same testing that humans were now experiencing. The Tannel always studied a species before deciding how to deal with them. But one section was labeled Caution Species. These were species the Tannel considered dangerous. The list was short, and humans had just been added to it. Next to the human entry was a note: unprecedented reflex speed. Decision-making bypasses conscious thought. Potential threat level high. Juwoo's heart beat faster. She kept searching and found another file called the Vex Incident. When she opened it, she saw images of another alien species. They looked like tall insects with 4 arms. The file explained that the Vex were the only species that had ever attacked the Tannel. The Vex moved quickly and struck without warning. The Tannel, with their slow, careful movements, could not defend themselves well. Many Tannel died before they finally defeated the Vex using automated weapons. That's why they fear us, Juwoo whispered. We remind them of the Vex. We move too fast for them to react. Suddenly, a sound came from the hall. Juwoo grabbed her device and hid behind a large machine. Ambassador Rek entered with 2 other Tannel. The Council is concerned, one Tannel said. These humans showed the same quick reflexes as the Vex. They could be just as dangerous. I disagree, Rek said. The Vex attacked without reason. These humans used their speed to protect, not harm. Did you see how they reacted to the fire? They saved each other. It doesn't matter, the third Tannel said. The rules are clear. Any species with threat level high must be isolated. Limited contact only. No sharing of technology. That would be a mistake, Rek argued. Humans could be valuable allies. The Council votes tomorrow, the first Tannel said. Prepare your final report. They left the room, moving in their slow, careful way. Juwoo waited until they were gone, then slipped out and ran back to the others. When she told them what she had found, they all fell silent. So that's it, Junho said. They're afraid we might be like these Vex creatures. And tomorrow, they vote on whether to treat us as friends or threats. Minna added. We need to show them we're not dangerous, Taho said. But how? Junho asked. Our reflexes won't change. It's how humans are made. Juwoo looked at them with determination in her eyes. Then we need to show them what human reflexes are really for. The 4 humans met in Chunho's room late that night. They needed a plan before the Tannel Council voted. We need to understand them better, Junho said. If we know why they move so slowly, maybe we can explain why we move fast. Maybe we should just talk to Rek, Taho suggested. He seems to be on our side. Good idea, Minna agreed. Let's find him. They found Ambassador Rek in the observation room, watching recordings of their tests. The tall alien turned slowly when they entered. Ah, our human guests, Rek said. I was just reviewing your results. We need to talk, Junho said directly. We know about the Vex. We know your people are afraid of us because we move quickly, like they did. Rek's large eyes blinked slowly. He was silent for a long time. You were not supposed to find that information, he finally said. We want to understand, Juwoo said. Why do the Tannel move so slowly? Why are fast reflexes so strange to you? Rek gestured to some chairs. Please sit. I will explain. The humans sat. Rek remained standing, his thin gray-blue fingers clasped together. The Tannel evolved on a world very different from Earth, he began. Our planet has stronger gravity and thicker air. Quick movements were difficult and used too much energy. So we evolved to be careful, thoughtful. We plan each movement before we make it. You think before you act, Junho said. Every time. Yes, Rek nodded slowly. In our culture, the fastest thinker is respected, not the fastest mover. Our bodies cannot react without our brains telling them to. We have what do you call them? Reflexes. The humans looked at each other in surprise. When you catch a falling object without thinking, that is alien to us, Rek continued. When you jump away from danger before you even know what it is, we cannot understand it. It seems wrong, dangerous, but reflexes keep us safe, Minna argued. They protect us. Yes, I believe that now, Rex said, but many on the council do not. They remember the Vex. That species also moved without thinking, but they used their speed to attack, to kill. Many Tandil died before we found a way to defeat them. We're not like the Vex, Tahoe said firmly. I know this, Rek replied. I have watched you carefully. When you move quickly, it is to help each other, to prevent harm. But the council sees only the similarity in speed, not the difference in purpose. What happens if they vote against us tomorrow? Shano asked. Earth will be classified as a quarantine world, Rex said. No Tandil ships will visit. No technology will be shared. You will be alone in the stars. That's not fair, Tahoe exclaimed. The council is afraid, Rex said simply. Fear is not logical. Junho thought carefully. What if we could show them that human reflexes are different from Vex reflexes, that our quick movements are meant to protect, not harm? How would you do this? Rek asked. We need to see more files about the Vex, Ju said, to understand what made them different from us. Rek was quiet for a long time. Then he moved to a computer and pressed a few buttons with his long fingers. I should not do this, he said. But I believe humans could be valuable friends to the Tandil. Here are the complete Vex files. Study them carefully. For hours, the humans read about the Vex. They learned that the insect-like aliens had attacked without warning. They felt no fear and showed no mercy. They never tried to communicate or understand the Tandil. I see the difference now, Junho said when they finished. The Vex were predators. They used their speed to hunt. But humans evolved as both predators and prey. Our reflexes protect us and others. Now we just need to prove it to the council, Minna said. I have an idea, Ju said, but it's risky. Tell us, Juno urged. We need to scare the Tandil, she said, and then show them what human reflexes are really for. Morning came. Today the Tandil Council would vote on humanity's future. The 4 humans ate breakfast in silence, each lost in thought. Ju's plan might work, Junho said finally, but we need to know what the council is thinking first. Tahoe smiled. I can help with that. Last night, I put small listening devices in the council room. You did what? Minna asked, surprised. Tahoe shrugged. I used to help set up security systems before I trained athletes. These are just small microphones I made from parts in my room. When did you have time to do this? Shano asked. I don't sleep much, Tahoe said with a grin. And the Tandil don't watch their halls at night. They trust too much. So we can hear what they say in the meeting, Ju asked. Yes, the devices send sound to this. Tahoe held up a small black box. I'll record everything. An hour later, the council meeting began. The 4 humans gathered in Junho's room to listen. 7 Tandil voices came through Tahoe's device, speaking in their own language, but with translators active. The human tests are complete, Mole's voice said. We have enough data to make a decision. Present your findings, a deep voice said. It belonged to Elder Voles, the head of the council. Humans have the fastest reflexes of any species we have encountered, Mole reported. They can react to danger in 0.2 seconds. That is 5 times faster than a Tandil can move after making a decision. Like the Vex, someone said. Their voice was afraid. Yes, but also different, Mole continued. The Vex moved quickly to attack. Humans move quickly to protect themselves and others. That doesn't matter, another voice argued. Any species that can move without thinking is dangerous. They act before considering consequences. Ambassador Rek, you have spent the most time with the humans. Elder Voss said. What is your assessment? I believe humans use their reflexes for good, Rex's voice replied. They are not like the Vex. The Vex had no emotions. They felt no fear, no love, no loyalty. Humans feel deeply. Their reflexes are connected to these feelings. Feelings are not reliable, someone countered. A human might feel angry and strike out before thinking. They could hurt us before they even decide to hurt us, another agreed. I propose we classify Earth as a quarantine world, a Tannel said, for the safety of our people. That would be a grave mistake, Rek argued. Humans have much to offer us. Their quick thinking matches our careful thinking. Together, we could solve problems neither species could alone. It is too risky, the fearful voice insisted. Look at their history. They fight wars. They hurt each other. With their speed, they could hurt us even more easily. The council began to argue. Some thought humans were too dangerous. Others, like Rek, thought humans could be good friends to the Tannel. We will vote now, Elder Voss finally said. Those in favor of quarantine. Wait, Rek interrupted. The humans have requested a chance to speak before the vote, to show us something important about their species. There was silence. Then Elder Voss spoke again. Very well. They may have 1 hour to present their case. After that, we vote. The transmission ended. The humans looked at each other. We're in trouble, Minna said. Half the council wants to cut off Earth completely. 1 hour, Junho said, thinking hard. We have 1 hour to change their minds. Then we need to show them something they'll never forget, Ju said. Something that proves human reflexes are for protection, not harm. I think we need to use my plan now, Tahoe said. But we'll need help from Rek. Will he agree? Minna asked. He could get in trouble for helping us. He already helped by giving us the Vex files, Junho said. I think he'll help us again. He believes in humans. Then let's go find him, Tahoe said, standing up. We have a show to put on. As they left to find Ambassador Rek, Junho felt both nervous and hopeful. 1 hour to change the minds of aliens who had lived for centuries in fear of quick-moving species. 1 hour to secure humanity's place among the stars. It wasn't much time. But for humans who could react in 0.2 seconds, perhaps it would be enough. The 4 humans found Ambassador Rek in his office. They quickly told him their plan. This is very risky, Rek said, his large eyes blinking slowly. If it fails, the council will surely vote for quarantine. But if it works, they'll see that human reflexes are not a threat, Junho argued. Rek thought for a long time, moving his long fingers together in what seemed to be a Tannel gesture of deep thinking. Very well, he finally said. I will help you. 1 hour later, the humans stood before the Tannel High Council. 7 tall, blue-gray aliens sat in a half-circle on raised seats. Their faces showed no emotion, but their large eyes watched the humans carefully. You may present your case, Elder Voss said. Junho stepped forward. Thank you, Elder Voss and members of the council. We understand you are concerned about human reflexes. You think they make us dangerous, like the Vex. Some of the council members shifted in their seats. They had not told the humans about the Vex. We know about your past troubles, Junho continued. But there is a big difference between humans and the Vex. Our reflexes evolved not to hunt, but to protect. And we want to show you this today. Junho nodded to Rek, who pressed a button on a small device. The lights in the room dimmed. A large screen lit up on the wall. This is Earth, Junho said as images of their planet appeared. Our world has many dangers. Fast animals that hunt us, natural disasters like floods and fires, falls from high places. Our reflexes evolved to keep us safe from these dangers. The screen showed examples. Humans jumping away from snakes, covering their heads during storms, throwing out their hands when falling. But most importantly, Junho said, human reflexes help us protect others, not just ourselves. The screen changed to show a mother pulling her child from the path of a car, a man jumping into water to save a drowning person, a woman pushing someone away from falling debris. We don't think before we act in these moments, Junho explained. Our bodies move on their own to save lives. This is the true purpose of human reflexes, not to harm, but to help. The council watched silently. Their faces still showed no emotion. Junho couldn't tell if his words were having any effect. It was time for the demonstration. We would like to show you human reflexes in action, Junho said, with your permission. Elder Vos nodded slowly. Junho walked to the center of the room. Mina, Tahoe, and Juu spread out around him. Then Rek entered, carrying a small Tanel child. This was not part of the plan the council knew about. The council members stirred, some half rising from their seats. What is the meaning of this? Elder Vos demanded. Why is a child here? To help us demonstrate, Junho said calmly. With your permission, and with all safety measures in place. The council members looked at each other. Finally, Elder Vos nodded. Rex stood in the center with the child. The small Tanel looked curiously at the humans with its large dark eyes. Now, Junho said, we will show you what human reflexes are truly for. He nodded to Tahoe, who pressed a button on a small remote. Suddenly, the ceiling above the child opened. Something large and heavy began to fall directly toward the small Tanel. The council members cried out in alarm, but they moved too slowly to help. The humans did not hesitate. All four moved at once, faster than the Tanel could follow. Mina reached the child first, wrapping her body around the small alien. Tahoe pulled both of them away from the falling object. Junho and Juu caught the heavy weight together, stopping its fall. When it was over, the child was safe. The humans stood together, breathing hard but unharmed. The heavy object, a padded container filled with water, designed to look dangerous but cause no harm, lay on the floor. The council room was completely silent. The Tanel stared at the humans with their large eyes wide. That, Junho said into the silence, is what human reflexes are for. The Tanel council was still silent. The small child looked up at Mina, who had protected it with her body. The child reached out one tiny four-fingered hand and touched Mina's face, as if checking that she was real. Finally, Elder Vos spoke. That was unexpected, but it proves nothing. You knew the object would fall. You were prepared. Junho frowned. The demonstration had not convinced them. If I may, Ambassador Rex stepped forward. I suggest one final test, one that even the humans cannot prepare for. The humans looked at each other nervously. This was not part of their plan. What test do you propose? Elder Vos asked. A real emergency, Rex said. Not a demonstration. The humans will not know what will happen or when. We will observe their natural reactions. Elder Vos thought for a moment, then nodded. Very well. The council will meet again in 3 hours to observe this test. Until then, the humans will be kept separate so they cannot plan. Guards led the humans to different rooms. Junho sat alone, worried about what test Rek had planned. Would it be dangerous? Would they pass? Everything depended on this final test. 3 hours later, the guards brought all 4 humans to a large room. The Tanel Council watched from behind a glass wall. In the center of the room were 2 groups of children, 4 human children, and 4 Tanel children. The human children had been on the station with their parents, who worked in other sections. The humans had not known there were any children on board. What is happening? Junho asked, confused. Why are there children here? Before anyone could answer, alarm bells began to ring. Red lights flashed. A voice spoke over the speakers in both human and Tanel languages. Emergency. Life support failing in Section 7. All persons must evacuate immediately. Emergency. Life support failing in Section 7. The children looked scared. The human children began to cry. The Tanel children froze in place, their large eyes wide with fear. Junho realized this was the test. Section the Tanel Children 7 was this room. The council wanted to see what the humans would do. save their own kind first, or help everyone. The 4 humans acted without speaking. Mina ran to the nearest children, 2 Tanel, and picked them up, 1 in each arm. Taho did the same with 1 human child and 1 Tanel child. Junho and Juwoo each grabbed 2 children, not caring if they were human or Tanel. The 8 children were frightened, but safe in the arms of the humans. Now they had to get out. The door to the room had closed automatically when the alarm started. The exit is locked. Juwoo shouted over the alarm. Junho looked around quickly. He saw another door on the far side of the room. That way, he called. They ran to the other door. It was smaller and marked with Tanel writing. Junho shifted the children in his arms and tried the handle. It opened. Beyond was a small chamber, an airlock. It was only big enough for 4 adults and the children they carried. There was no way all 8 children and all 4 adults could fit at once. The humans understood at once. This was the real test. You 2 go first, Junho told Mina and Taho. Take those children to safety. Mina and Taho entered the airlock with their 4 children. The door closed behind them. A light flashed green, showing they had passed through safely. Junho and Juwoo waited with the remaining 4 children. The alarm kept blaring. The room's lights began to flicker. The air felt thinner. Don't be scared, Junho told the children in his arms, 1 human boy and 1 Tanel girl. We'll keep you safe. The airlock door opened again. Junho and Juwoo rushed in with their children. The door closed. Air hissed around them. Then the outer door opened. They stepped through into a bright hallway. The Tanel Council stood there waiting. The other children were safe with Mina and Taho. There had never been any danger. The whole thing had been a test. Elder Vo stepped forward, looking at the humans with new eyes. You saved the Tanel children first, he said. You did not choose your own kind over ours. They're just children, Junho said simply. It doesn't matter what they look like or where they come from. Children need protection. For the first time, Elder Voz's face showed an emotion. It looked almost like a smile. Perhaps, he said, we have misjudged humans after all. The next day, the humans waited nervously in a meeting room. The Tanel Council had been discussing their fate for hours. No one knew which way they would vote. Do you think we convinced them? Taho asked. I hope so, Junho said. They seemed impressed by how we helped the children. But they still fear what they don't understand, Juwoo said. And they don't understand how we can move without thinking first. The door opened. Ambassador Rek entered with Elder Voz and the other council members. The humans stood up, their hearts beating fast. We have reached a decision, Elder Voz announced. His voice was calm, giving away nothing. The room was silent. The future relationship between humans and Tanel hung in the balance. Humanity will be classified as, Elder Voz paused, then continued, reflexive protectors. The humans looked at each other, confused. This was not a classification they had heard before. This is a new category, Rek explained, his eyes showing what might be happiness. Created specifically for humans, it recognizes your unique abilities and your natural instinct to protect. So we're not being quarantined? Mina asked. No, Elder Voz said. Instead, we wish to propose an alliance. Your quick reflexes and our careful planning could work well together. Relief washed over the humans. They had done it. Earth would not be cut off from the stars. Thank you, Elder Voz, Junho said. Humans will be honored to be allies with the Tanel. There is one more thing, Rek said. The council has a question for you. A female Tanel stepped forward. She was smaller than the others, with markings on her face that suggested great age. I am Scholar Niz, she said. I have studied many species for 200 years, but I have never seen anything like humans. She looked at each of them with her large dark eyes. Can you teach us? She asked simply. Teach you what? Junho asked, surprised. To trust reflexes, Niz said. To act without calculating every outcome. It is something the Tannel have always wished for, but never achieved. The humans were stunned. The Tannel weren't just afraid of human reflexes, they wanted them. That might be difficult, Jiwu said carefully. Our reflexes come from our biology, our evolution. They can't be learned easily. But perhaps there are exercises that could help, Chunho suggested. Ways to practice quick reactions. They won't be the same as human reflexes, but they might help the Tannel respond faster in emergencies. And we could learn from you too, Tahoe added. Humans sometimes act too quickly. We could benefit from your careful thinking. Elder Vos nodded slowly. A true exchange of knowledge. This is what alliances should be. Plans were made for the humans to return to Earth. They would bring news of the alliance and begin preparing for Tannel visitors. Scientists from both worlds would work together to study their different ways of thinking and moving. On their last day on the station, Rek walked with Chunho to the shuttle bay. I must confess something, Rek said. When we first met, I was afraid of you. Because I might move too quickly, Chunho asked. Yes, Rek admitted. But now I understand. Quick movement is not always dangerous. Sometimes it is beautiful. Rek raised his hand in a slow, careful gesture of friendship. Chunho shook it gently. The Tannel have always dreamed of moving without thinking, Rek said. To just know what to do, to feel it. You humans do this every day, and don't even realize how special it is. And we've never appreciated the value of careful thought before every action, Chunho replied. Both approaches have their place. As the shuttle carried the humans back to Earth, Chunho looked out at the stars. The universe was vast and full of different kinds of life. Some moved quickly, some slowly. Some thought first, some acted first. But all could learn from each other. What seemed scary at first could become a strength when understood. The Tannel had studied human reflexes and been scared. But now they understood. And from that understanding, a new friendship between worlds had begun.